I'm now recording. Welcome to our first Tarot Summer School Campfire Q&A sessions. This is like our tarot jams that we have at the Academy every month, but where you get access to some of the teachers who are teaching at Tarot Summer School this year. And we have quite a number of these amazing people online. For those of you who are watching the replay, and I did want to let you all know that I have booked the second Campfire session so that the time is good for Kellyanne Maddox, Vix, Tony Poole, Stephen Bright, a lot of people who are in the UK, our teachers in the UK, to come on. So that's going to be well and truly worth jumping on as well. So it's great. We've kind of got the people who can make it on this one, and then we've got some different teachers who will be making it on the next one. So to roll call, we have Jessie Huntenberg, who is here. I'm just going to hello, gorgeous. We have Avalon Cameron in the house. We have Arwen. I'm trying to find everybody. Speak joy, y'all.
Speak joy, y'all.
The beautiful one and only Bennabelle. Woo, woo, woo. Have I missed anybody? I don't think I have. We're probably going to get people coming in and out. I know Gina said she might be able to make it. So Gina T, since you're here, honey, if you get here, let us know. I do have some questions that have come in, but if there's anyone on this call that would like to jump in, ask a question, remember this is, like, I feel kind of, I'm very lucky, or not feel kind of lucky, I know I'm very lucky to be able to, like, call these people my friends. I'd be like, can you come on a call? Like, I send out the bat signal. It's like our little Justice League appears, like, pew, pew, pew. So take advantage of the fact that you have some of these amazing people who are not always accessible to you. So ask away, people. Ask about their classes. So Jessie's, not everyone's classes have gone live yet. As we run all summer long, so you can ask away, or I can find the first question from someone else. Don't be shy, or a teacher can come in and say hello. I don't mind. No one wants to look at my ugly mug for an entire hour.
So can I ask a question?
Girl, please.
Why are y'all here? What is it you're looking for from any kind of class? What is your intent, your purpose, your need? What do you want? An easy question, right?
Remember to unmute yourself if you want to join in the conversation, and then just start talking.
I feel like Arwen just asked, what is the meaning of life, with that question.
Everyone just
absolutely agree. I agree. It was a very, very meta way to start it, and I agree. Let's just jump right in, man. Forget the small talk. Let's just get to the heart of the matter.
Well, I'm taking the classes, right? I mean, I'm teaching, but I'm also taking classes because more information is always wonderful. I've been doing this since 1981, and I can never stop learning. My motto, one of my mottos, is the day I stop learning is the day I start dying, and I'm not ready.
I like that motto. I'm a bit with you on that one as well.
Steal away, baby.
I will answer your question. I will answer your meaning of life question. I am genuinely always looking for a different perspective. I always want a different perspective. I never think that my perspective is the only way, the true way. I'm always looking at diversifying my practice as much as humanly possible, of integrating as many skills as I possibly can, and of becoming a better reader and just a better human being, really.
What I think is so awesome about Tarot Summer School generally, as a teacher and as someone who takes the courses, is that you have all of these different folks who approach things completely uniquely and who have an incredible wealth of knowledge about what it is that they are presenting. Like every time I see the lineup, I'm just like clapping my hands because I know I'm just going to be learning so many different things. And like Avalon said, that comes from so many different perspectives. There's, you know, you're limited in your own approach as far as you're, you know, unwilling to broaden that approach. And if you have access to all of these resources from all of these people, it's something that's truly exciting, because I know that I'm continually learning. I'm continually on the path, and I'm sure that there are, you know, many readers here who will tell you, who are like much more, you know, veteran readers than I, who are still learning things, and there are always things to learn. And there are always people hopping into the tarot sphere who are coming at things from a completely different perspective. And even there's just like kernels in each course, something that you may not have even thought of before, and a way to approach it that's just like, wow, this is great. And every time I see the lineup, I'm just like, there's so much in it, just so much I'm gonna learn. It's just gonna like add to the craft, even in a holistic way, not even just in like a very focused way. It'll just like broaden it like across the entire scope.
And we have little, like we can be little islands, hey, like as tarot readers. I mean, I know for me, like my work, if I'm not dealing with the clients over Skype or doing something like this, which is why I do community work like tarot jams and stuff, you can get a little bit isolated, right? Because it's like I'm in my little sacred space doing my thing, and I don't always get to go read at fairs or read for other people face to face. So I love the fact that I get to connect with hundreds of people, thousands of people now in that Facebook group from all over the world, from all the different backgrounds, who all come to tarot in a different way, who all look at things from their own lens. I think it's just pretty damn fantastic. And the Gemini, I'm like, I feel the same way. It's like the day that I stop learning is the day that I start dying, and I'm well and truly not ready for that gem to start happening. So,
hi, I'm Maggie. Can you hear me?
We can keep talking, honey. It'll switch over. Hi.
Okay.
I know your face from the internet.
Yes, New Studio and Arwen, and I've met a few others. And a lot of what people said was why I came, because I'm an older reader. I've been reading for many, many years. So for one thing, it's a new perspective that I can get from other people. It's always, like Arwen said, always learning something new. But I pulled one of your cards because today I was thinking, you know, why am I here? And you know, I'm just really enjoying the classes so much. And it was unplug. And it allows me to unplug to actually put it on my calendar, unplug from my business, my clients, and have this time for me to be able to just, you know, just to learn more, to have my own growth, because it can get so busy. And like they mentioned, you know, a lot of times I don't read so much in person unless I do fairs, or I have some people here. I live in a small town, so it's kind of lonely sometimes because it's more remote. There's some Skype, but so unplug, because I put the time on my calendar to unplug and to do this. So it's kind of for me and my learning and growth. And you have a fabulous lineup with so many great teachers, so there's so much here.
I'm super excited about it. I'm like, dang, I am a lucky ducky to be able to work with these people. So thank you so much for sharing. Gina asked, tarot is a journey. What are you all learning right now that is intriguing you? So what is it on this journey that is exciting you or intriguing you? Another one of those like deep mystical things. You know what's intriguing me? What's intriguing me is Benabelle's deck that she's hand drawing. I can't even. How did you get so talented, lady? Like I draw stick figures with like little heads, and I'm like.
Yeah, Benabelle went just quietly behind the scenes. We're hypothesizing on the fact that she could actually be God, because she doesn't. If it's drawing, she knows it. If it's tarot, she knows it. I sent her a technical question the other day. She hit me back in microseconds with like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I don't think she's a real person. I think she's actually
I can definitely attest from meeting this amazing person and spending a lot of time with her this year. I was very, very fortunate. She is real, but she may actually be God. I'm with you on that one.
Either that or a cyborg.
I think she's that X-Men character, you know, the one that can split into multiples.
Yeah.
And then they all kick your ass at once. I think that's Bennabelle.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm pretty sure I saw her more than once at Reader Studio. Like, I think I saw her talking to Ethany, and then she was simultaneously talking to Teresa Reed and teaching. So I'm pretty sure that's her secret.
No, Arwen, that was the first time you met me, remember?
That was Portland. Y'all, I have to tell you that I met Bennabelle in person in 2016 at the Newts Festival, the Portland conference, Tarot conference. Then I met her again this year, and I said, and I quoted, I gave her a big-ass Arwen hug, "I'm so glad to finally meet you in person." And she pulls back with this Bennabelle look of, "We've met." But she was being funny, but it was, yeah, so I tell her all the time that I'm glad I've met her again.
All right.
So can I talk, what I'm learning right now is actually not tarot. I've been taking a class from Carrie Parrish and Andrew Kyle McGregor, and it is their Charming the Dead Oracles kit. And this kit has like at least 5 different ways of, it's a mediumship class, and I am just blowing me away.
Awesome.
Yeah, layering. Shut up, Arwen.
No, don't shut up. Ali's saying she opened herself up to other Claires. Has been amazing experience this week. Yes, Jill is working on her numerology again. I need to dive more into that to get into another layer of tarot. Wait till you take tarot by the numbers, which is what that is all about. And I have previewed that course because being, you know, the almighty spaghetti monster of the Tarot Readers Academy, I get to look at everyone's content before it goes live. And holy dooly, Mel just goes. She starts talking about a number and it's like boom, and it's just like brrr. I'm like, thank God that is recorded, because I was literally listening to one of her numbers and I was like, that's great, that's great, that's great, that's great. Like, I'm going to have like a notebook full of stuff. I'm not being rude. I've just got my questions on my phone, so I'm not clicking on that anymore. So yeah, like, wait till you do tarot by the numbers. It's going to be a pretty amazing experience, for sure. So
I'm very excited for that one, actually, because what's the word that I'm looking for, and I want it to be very articulate. I think I just suck at numbers when it comes to numbers. I just really I'm a crap. I don't have a mathematical brain like, oh God, Bennabelle. I don't have a microprocessing type of brain. I'm a really creative individual. My brain works creatively. And so if a person can actually break something down that is number-based, analytical types of information, then I'm there for that. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
yeah, I can tell you she's done a really good job.
I'm here for something kind of different. I'm writing books, and hi, I'm Larry. Hi,
my girl crush right there.
I'm here. So I'm kind of interested in this this weird, I don't know if it's a dichotomy, because Bennabelle will be able to tell me if this is actually a dichotomy or not. But that's the word that I want to use. So there's I'm writing fiction books, and everybody's obsessed with the hero's journey, and I'm kind of upset that there's only the hero's journey, which is the masculine version, and I think there should be a feminine version, and I think the feminine version is when we take it cyclical. So if you look at like the majors, you can map a hero's journey through the majors. But if you look at how the majors connect through the Fool, then now that's a cyclical journey. And so I'm looking to see if that comes up in any other like feminine archetypes or feminine stories or goddess stories or things like that. So if you hear of anything like that, or you know of any books that describe that, you could send that information to me. But that's the kind of thing I'm learning. And so every time I get another layer of understanding of major or minor arcana, then I get another piece of the puzzle, and maybe one day I'll figure it out. So
I actually have a PowerPoint on that.
you have a what?
A PowerPoint slide around the feminine heroine's journey, it's called. So
Damn, girl, where is it? Where is it?
Let me dig in my archives. I probably have written an article in Tarot Tips about that too. But yes, there is such a thing, and it's quite different from what we know of the hero's journey. And I talk about that actually in my awesome audience building, about telling people how to tell their story. Like, as a reader, you become the hero to your client, but they also need to be their own hero and find out, it's like articulating or self-generating their answer. And so within that, you find they have a weapon that they can use. So what's their weapon? Who do they see themselves in terms of being the hero at the end of the tale? So in a simple reading, that happens. I mean, it's a thing that takes place over and over and over again for us every day. I'm sorry, I just wanted to interject, but I have that. Let me see if I can find it. If you want to private message me or hit me up on Facebook.
Here, I'm gonna type my email in.
Okay.
I can connect you two as well, by the way.
You can connect us, and I will.
Yeah, I'm friends with you both, so I can definitely connect you.
Awesome. Please. Super excited, Gina. Thank you.
All right. You're very
And
welcome.
the hero's journey for me, Lyra, is I do not put gender on. I use hero because it's more familiar to people. But I teach writers. I teach tarot to writers, and I teach them how to write, because when I write, you do 3 journeys. I typically teach romance writers. So you typically have a hero and a heroine, or you have 2 heroes or 2 heroines. But you also have a villain. And the villain has a journey just like the other characters. And you start weaving those journeys in and out of each other. And the hero's journey isn't linear. That's a big thing that I try to drive into people's heads. Yeah, you typically start with the ordinary world. But sometimes the mentor shows up before the threshold, before the call to adventure. It can kind of vary. And,
sure, of course. Yeah, just like the cards.
Right. And so I use movies to teach it. I use Avatar, Shrek, and a story called The 3 Little Pigs, because even the 3 little pigs have a hero's journey. But for me, I understand what you're saying about but I'm not sure I see that the heroine's journey, while it might be, for me, if you take it into a more female or a more male, then for me, it starts adding gender in, and I try to eliminate gender from my hero's journey work because of that. So I think I'm coming at it from an opposite way, where you're trying to really make sure we see that journey. And I really would love to have you write something for the Cartomancer. So.
I might need a year.
I'll be here.
I have multiple spreads that I use for my stories that I use in building character developments and plot lines and multiple subplot lines and etc. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to disturb that with all of my other stuff. But,
it's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I personally don't actually like the term hero at all. I like seeker or adventurer. And I find heroine, whenever I say it, I just think of drugs. So I like to keep it pretty simple. And I think the moment you start going into hero, it seems a little more mythical and almost, storybook and unattainable. It doesn't actually connect you, but everyone can connect with the subject of the seeker or the archetype of the seeker. We all want to uncover something. We're all on our way to somewhere, and we're all doing it, in that discovery adventure type of whim. Unless of course you're stagnating, and then that sucks for you. So
no, don't stagnate.
So I have a question from Gavin, who wants to ask Arwen, spellcraft in your own hero's journey with tarot, which, if you didn't know, that's what Arwen is teaching this year. I know a little about magic, but I don't practice. Do I need to practice magic regularly to take the course and get value out of it? Answer away, Arwen.
Well, hello, Gavin, darling. I got to meet him at Reader Studio also. For most people, no, but for you, yeah, you're going to have to. Joking. For what I'm going to be doing in terms of spell crafting, spell crafting can be as simple as what I've got in my hand, which is a witch's ladder. And it's just basically it's a type of mala. So it's 9-bead spacer, 9-bead spacer. And we'll be doing things like lighting a candle, drawing a tarot card, doing some journaling work. There may be actual spell work, which not maybe, but will be. And you as the student are in charge. I give you the lessons. You do what speaks to you, which pieces of them work for you, because I'm hoping that in each one you'll find layers for yourself. You don't need to be a witch. Prayer is magic to me. Kneeling on a pew in a church can be a very magical experience. Or walking in the woods can be your form of magic. So I'm going to address it in ways that you'll have lots of different ways. I'll tell you to light a candle, and you can pick this size, or you can pick this size. This isn't a candle, but I'm just using it for reference. Or you can pick a chime candle, which are like the size of my little finger, right? Totally up to you, sweetie. You don't need to. I've had people ask me if they need to know tarot to take this course, and no, you don't. Do not smack me, Kat. Sorry. I want this course to be for all levels. I want people who are regular magical practitioners who can come in and take away. I want people who have never picked up a tarot deck who can take away. What I want to do is co-create our lives to drive us forward on the journey we want. We're choosing where we're going. And so that's what all the spell crafting, all the tarot work is about, is helping us choose. You know the books, Choose Your Own Adventure? That's kind of what I'm looking for. I hope that answers your question. But
I used to die so quickly in those Choose Your Own Adventure books. I swear to God, I was the most unlucky SOB. I'd be like, turn the page, you're dead. Damn it! Like, I would always choose the worst one. Thank you. That helps quite a lot. I have a question for Jessie. Jessie, with your work with ancestral, so Jessie's course this year is with ancestral healing with tarot and work with the ancestors. So what would you say to people who either don't know their ancestors, like their family don't talk about it, or that there's some like mixed feelings about ancestral stuff, whether there was like that dodgy uncle that or that aunt that no one really wants to talk to anymore? So
there's always a dodgy uncle, isn't there? Always.
A bloody dodgy uncle.
Always.
So would you say, do you address that in your course, and what would you do for someone like me? I don't really know my ancestors. My parents never really talked about them. So yeah, could you kind of talk a little bit on that?
So there are many different ways that you can connect with your ancestors. And one of the first things I always come at things from a psychospiritual place, definitely looking at things psychology-wise, shadow work-wise. So I kind of approach this like a personal deductionist. Now, I've always been very, very interested in my family lineage, and I've always been looking at repeated patterns throughout the generations. So this might be something that's unique to me, in that I recognize like a pattern that I have, and I'll immediately try to trace it back in terms of where it came from. I think looking at your parents is actually a really good place to start. And it might seem like it's not, because it's not as far back as you're looking to look. But chances are that many of the traits that your parents or your authority figures are expressing were expressed by their parents, and back and back and back, unless certain cycles were broken. Often I find that cycles shift, or patterns of behavior either lessen in intensity or increase in intensity, depending upon certain circumstances. But I'd say the first step would definitely try to be a sleuth. Now I had you know, I've had, I wouldn't say it's a luxury per se, but I do have a family tree, I think, that goes back to the 1700s on my one grandmother's side. Now, that doesn't mean I necessarily know the personalities, mind you, but I've done some digging. You know, I've found the ancestral photographs, and I decided to just, you know, just keep them to myself. I kind of took them at one point because I didn't trust anyone else with them. And, you know, I did some digging that way. But if you don't really have much to look at in terms of who your ancestors are and where you came from, I feel like you can access some of that information by slipping into an alpha state and getting yourself into a magical state, for you know, lack of a better term, whether it's through the form of shamanic journeying or really, really deep meditation. I feel like that's something that is accessible. I'm also really on board with the Jungian idea of the collective unconscious. So I feel that when we're in these magical, like magically induced states, we are able to open up and access some of this, you know, some of this ancestral information that we are all privy to. And another way that I address this, honestly, is choosing ancestors of your choice. So this being ancestors that are reflected in the art you enjoy, the books you love, any people that you really admire. I feel like this is another good thing to look into, because your ancestors or your ancestry is not, I don't believe anyway, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to a lot of things, but I feel like your ancestors aren't necessarily those who are connected to you by blood. I feel like you can have ancestral connections, like through ideas, through commonality in experience, you know, through things that you're going through, and you can find these, you know, these folks, whether, you know, living or dead in the past, that you can connect with, and that can help you process your own journey as well. And I find that that's helpful when there's a lot of dark, shadowy stuff in our past. You know, perhaps you have ancestors that you can't really connect with because you didn't really feel like they were necessarily good people. You know, maybe your past is a little bit shadowy, and in that sense, you can actually choose who it is that you want to emulate, that you want to communicate with, and that you want to be an example for you in your personal journey. Again, this gets just really huge in general, just talking about ancestry and what an ancestor even is.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm really looking forward to doing your course, and I loved Benabelle's talk at the Reader Studio on a lot of the operations with that as well. So it's been a very interesting year with ancestral stuff for me. So thank you, Jessie, so much. I have a question that I think a few teachers will be able to help discuss. We also have Chris Ann Donnelly, who's arrived, and as we saw, Gina is here, Gina Teese. So remember, if you have questions for any of our teachers, now is the time. You do not normally get access to these people, so throw them out there. So for those teachers like Benabelle and even Chrisanne and Avalon, who are doing more, there's quite a lot of magic and connection to our to magic and divination and nature and the craft and the occult. How would you go about, maybe if someone has come to Tarot Summer School, or someone has come across these courses and they're a little bit afraid of like the more like dark, or the like this is a more taboo subject? So I mean, I'd love to hear from all of you. Just pop your hand up, or someone can go first. But how do you feel that you tackle the subject in regards to it being, because I know, I mean, I wouldn't judge you anyway. You could do whatever you wanted. If you want to be all dark and gloomy, that when we were Raven, like, that's fine. But how do you work with that side of the more holistic, looking at, you know, getting our shadow side incorporated into our being? How do you use the tarot and divination this year to work with those sorts of themes like magic, the craft, nature, divination, all that sort of stuff?
I'll answer first. I don't really see it as dark. When I think of occult, I just think of the other side of the coin. So, you know, it's like when I see you, I see the side that you're facing me, but I don't see behind you. So what occultism to me is seeing what's on the other side. And it's almost, I take a very scientific rigor to how I approach occultism. And in the course, I do believe beginners can take the class. I go through a lot of history. It gets very academic, actually, so it might be boring for a lot of people. But I do get into the history of it to get you an idea of, you know, the legacy of occultism and esotericism in tarot, and specifically what forms of it are integrated into the common popular decks that you see. So usually it's going to be the Kabbalah, Egyptology, or Christian mysticism, or Hermeticism. So I chose to go in the direction of Hermeticism. So a lot of the principles that I cover in my class will be Hermetic in nature, and that's what we get into. I think if in getting into the woo side, if you are, you feel kind of, you know, apprehensive about working with spirit energies and you're not sure, I always say to have religious relics that call upon a deity that you feel very strongly connected to, that feel very higher vibrational for you, and having that close by, having mantras or prayers, Hail Marys, for me it'll be Buddhist sutras and mantras, having those recitations by heart and having them sort of on call with you really helps you keep your space very clear and makes it so that it energetically blocks malefic energies from coming in, if that's your worry. Did that answer your question?
Yep. Anyone else want to join in on that comment on the chitty chat there?
Who wants to go after that? Wow, Venable, I just love listening to you talk. Hi guys. For me, I'm doing a course on divination, and I always look at divination kind of, you know, if you look up divination in the dictionary, you're going to get that like soothsaying and all of the fortune telling and the prophecies, and that is not my view of divination at all. And I like to kind of jump into it with that right in the beginning. I like to look at divination as a way to just connect to spirit and connect to source, or connect to nature, connect to this wonderful cosmos of information, the Akashic records, whatever you want to call it, that we have at our disposal. And so I don't see that as dark at all. Actually, I kind of see it as the positive, because you're getting so much information. And when I look through, I tend to look through a more scientific lens when I am first, diving into any tool. I kind of want to connect it to what's going on with possibilities and potentials. And, because of course, if you are a student and you do believe in fate and destiny and kind of this idea of a locked one road that we're on, that's okay too, and you can use the tools. But I totally believe more in free will and being able to kind of look at something from where we're at and what will happen if I stay on this road and I move towards A, or what will happen if I move towards B. And so that it feels much more like, it feels very strategic, actually, much more than dark for me when I think about, what is divination to me. So I hope that I can bring that to the course and that nobody gets afraid by it. And I do hope that everybody will feel free to, oh my goodness, if there's anything that kind of freaks you out, let us know and we'll work it out together. Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
I think that any of this falls under, at some point, people are afraid of it. Even simple cards, playing cards, anything can have that connotation because it's a level of not being able to, it's ignorance at first, right? You don't know what you can do or what the purpose is. And I think once there's a saying, if you can't heal, you can't hex. If you can't hex, you can't heal. So it's two sides of a coin. I mean, I always tell my students that you're showing up for this because you already know. It's just that you don't know what you don't know until you know. And so once you get to know something, the fear just kind of dissipates, right? I always tell people it also comes from what your intention is, right? In terms of dark or light, it's two sides of the same coin. And so in terms of you're showing up to lose that fear, in terms of taking a class, it's good to gain that knowledge so that you know what you're dealing with. But for people that, I remember when I bought my first tarot deck, I was afraid, I was shaking, right? Until now it's like, oh, okay, well, what I was afraid of was really knowing more about myself and kind of crossing that threshold into a deeper understanding of self. So I think that's just an interesting aspect of it.
I so agree with almost everything you said, Gina. It's like there's like nothing to fear but fear itself. And I'm like very much a proponent of like when we show fear outwardly and when we express it towards things, it's very much reflective of the fear that we hold within ourselves. It's very much reflective of what we're not willing to look at, what we're not willing to face. And I think that it's easier to think that we are good people. It's easier to view ourselves in terms of like what we project, what we consciously portray, the self that, that's still genuine, that we present in order to get along with others. And I think it's much easier to take some of the to sublimate them because it's painful to deal with, frankly. And sometimes it's frightening to find out, what truly lies beneath. But I've always found the experience of looking at that as something that's incredibly liberating. And I've felt myself, I've seen it happen to other people. And it's like, I'm like actually getting chills talking about it because I really think that it is so many personally and so many problems that we have on like a macrocosmic level. If we could all just be courageous enough to say, you know what, I'm afraid of this, but I'm going to take a look because I feel like what I might learn by looking at this could unlock some crazy potential in me and could actually truly make me the person that I perceive myself to be. And when I become more comfortable with these things, I don't have to react to them in the same way. I don't have to respond to them in the same way. And I don't have to be afraid. I'm knowledgeable. It's like releasing yourself from fear. And that's been my personal experience anyway.
I love it. Thank you.
Avalon, did you want to say anything, honey?
Yeah, I'll put a little bit in there as well. Thank you to everyone who's spoken so far. I genuinely believe that fear can actually block progress and growth, and that magic is, at its very core, it's divine, it's sacred. It is also the power through which you create change in your life. And a lot of the fear that people feel towards witchcraft is the fear of the power that can take such a course that can really be quite profoundly transformational. So for me, when a person voices that they're apprehensive about elements of the craft, it's more the power that the craft holds on an intense level. And if you've not had the opportunity to truly play with magic, and magic is a creative source, so you can play with it. You can get really creative with magic. You can also get very macabre with magic, but that is a reflection of what is in the heart of the practitioner. So if you are in a state of mind that demands the macabre, then that's what's going to happen. If you are in the state of mind of curiosity, then your magic is going to be exploratory. If you are in the state of mind of creativity, then your magic is going to be creative. And the state of mind that you are nursing, that you are holding and marinating, that will have a huge effect. Now, like Benabel said, if you are feeling apprehensive, then creating sacred space in a temple through which you can work with in a very small way or in a very large way, depending on what you have at your disposal, that can be a place where you can ground and you can center. And techniques of grounding and centering are paramount for anyone who's practicing any form of energy weaving. And so if you feel yourself getting a little lost in the process, then come back to that place, that temple place. You might feel it from a chakra level inside of you, from an energetic point inside of you. You might feel it when you're holding a piece of tourmaline, which is a fantastic neutralizing stone. You might feel it in your Hail Marys or your chants. You might feel it in your mudras. You might feel it in any other form. You might actually be the type of person that needs to go outside and have their bare feet on the earth, and that's totally okay. Grounding and centering, even for the most adept practitioner of the craft, is absolutely essential and is one of the foundational aspects of being any kind of a weaver. And so when it comes to that apprehension towards magic, it is very helpful to determine exactly what it is that you are frightened of. Are you frightened that a demon is going to pop out of the cupboard if you say a particular thing? That in itself tends to signify that your belief in a demon is holding you in some way, is a blockage. And you might need to actually, and I'm going to say something here, you might need to actually work with the concept of a demon and discover for yourself that a demon is not what is popularly written about. And if you're apprehensive about a ghost appearing, this one's true for me. I don't like being snuck up on by a ghost. It's really quite disconcerting. But if that's something that you are apprehensive about, then I can let you know a really nice little act of witchcraft or charming that you can pop on your door, and you know, to sanctify your space. Learning the foundational aspects of the craft are available to everyone, and they're very simple, they're very practical, and they're very common sense to me personally. And if you are apprehensive, I would encourage you to learn things like grounding, centering, shielding, hoarding, reaving, basic blessing, and just a really yummy little candle spell. Very simple, very easy. My 7-year-old daughter practices witchcraft. My 4-year-old son practices witchcraft. And my 3-year-old daughter, she's pretty fucking good at it too. So I consider myself the type of person that believes that magic is for anybody who wants to practice it, and that witchcraft is for the people, and it is the craft of the people. It is founded in low magic just as much as it's founded in high magic, and anyone can practice witchcraft, but the flavor of your craft really comes down to the flavor of your heart and your soul. So sorry to get carried away.
No, that was so well said. You know, we were talking about ancestors and getting these things and patterns from ancestors. At the end of the day, we are all superstitious. The thing about it is we don't know why we're superstitious. We don't know where they're coming from. And so these fears have been kind of woven into what we have been taught, believe, or see, or it's just like anything else in terms of being brought up. And if you were brought up in a certain religion or a path, you know, those things kind of stick. And then when you shift or you decide to change or come into your own, as I call it, that gets a little bit wobbly. It can be a scary uncomfortableness with it. But I love what you said. Thank you so very much. I'm sitting here just going, yes, to everyone. It's really great. I'm glad this is a very powerful group in and of itself coming together in this conversational magic that we're having.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I see a couple of little hands up. So, Kimmy, you've had your hand up for a while now. Would you like to unmute and share?
Okay, so Abwan, oh man, that was amazing. I'm doing your psychic tarot course, and I started it because a couple of months ago I decided to really start working on my clairs, but as a kid, I would see spirits and ghosts, and I would have these really not necessarily disturbing visions, but I did have a few that kind of left me a little shocked. And I feel like maybe now that I'm trying to use my clairs, that I'm having trouble breaking through and using them, because once I start to, and I feel myself start to, I pull back. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is, how can I break through, or how can I break through those blocks and really start to use them?
When you can go after me, but I just wanted to this very same thing happened to me as a kid, Kimmy. I used to have reoccurring nightmares where I would see the same thing happening on the screen of my mind. I would feel a male presence. He would be dressed up like a ring, what are they called? Ringmaster from a circus. He was super fucking creepy, and it would be reoccurring, and I would know the second this was coming, and I'm like, shit. And I'd have spirit, and my sisters would come in like there was someone on the edge of my bed all night, like all that kind of stuff. And the thing that I would like to offer to you, and it took me a long time, I never shut it down. My little sister actually did. We shut it down quite a lot. I never shut it down completely, but I went back and I actually accessed in my energy work and in my ritual work and in my astral work, I accessed those memories in sacred space in my astral temple of me being a child and having those experiences. And I actually sat with that as the ugly ass adult that I am. And I said, that experience was you processing something that you did not have the tools to actually work with. You now have the tools. And now I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you, little me, and I'm going to show you how to work your own magic. So you're going to, part of it is like healing the inner child, the child that was had those experiences, because I get it. I literally can feel what you felt, because I had the same experiences. And then when you're working and you can feel that kind of like resistance coming up, remembering to say to your inner child, even if it's before, we have the tools, we are safe, we are going to be guided. It's and just doing a little bit of that healing work. And I can send you some information afterwards. I can try and dig some out for you, because I know I've got some in my 7 million drives. But I would recommend doing that, like going in and just having a little chat to your inner child and the memory, any of the memories that come back, because that would be for sure like that fear, like Arwen said, you just kind of like, that's what's stopping you. Because once you heal that, it'll definitely get unplugged. And I'll let Arwen jump in if she wants to say anything, a different perspective on that too. But Kimmy, I'll definitely see what I can find for you, honey.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Kimmy, what I would remind you is that as children, we're taught to respond to certain things. As adults, we do it unintentionally if we're not thinking about it. When our children come to us and talk to us about their imaginary friends, oh, you didn't see that. We start plugging the holes up. In unplugging the holes, you have to remember that you are in charge. You get to create your safe environment, exactly what Ethany was talking about. So set yourself up in a safe way and give yourself, if it's very scary, I mean, if it's really truly a heart-frightening thing. I've had a heart-frightening thing in which my banishing was me running around my house with a sage yelling, "Get out of my house." That really was my whole...
Sounds like a Saturday night to me.
Right? But you are in charge, but your psychic ability is just another sense. It's just another muscle. If you were a perfumer or a parfumer, you would be working on your nose, right? You would be learning to discern this scent from that scent. If you're a wine connoisseur, you're learning what part of your tongue tastes what part of the wine. And that's why they do all that stuff, right? Your psychic muscle is just the same. It's just another sense. And you're in charge of it. If you get into a situation that you don't like, just remember, they're non-corporeal for a reason, and you're corporeal for a reason. And you can tell them to get the F out. And that kind of energy, that just kind of anger, like you were yelling at a dog coming at you, works. Because it's your energy. And that's the magic that you already have, that everybody has, is your intent and energy. And if you're feared, Gina, where am I from? If you're scared, that's going to work, because it's going to drive them back and out. And you get to close down your shield and close up your place. You do not have to be an unwilling participant for some entities' enjoyment. They're bullies, right? That's just a bully behavior. Don't be bullied.
I think what I'll also do, Kimmy, thank you, Arwen. What I'll do if I do find that information, I'll actually add that to the course, because it seems like there are people here a lot of people have had an experience where they've gone, oh shit, and they haven't maybe healed that. And that's probably really important to me, because again, that was something that I've experienced as well. So thank you for prompting that. I will find it. If I can't find anything recently, I might even do a little meditation or a visualization for you guys to take you on that, so I can do that next week. But yeah, thank you. That was probably perfect, like, for you to come on and prompt that for sure. So Jacob, you have your hand up. Would you like to come and say hello and ask your question?
Yeah. So I'm definitely, like, first I misspelled my name. It's Jacob. But for me, my question is that it kind of goes along with what she said, is being more fearful of what's going on, but it's going into your practice. When it always feels like it's always there, and when it's always around you. We did talk about fear a little bit, but to me, it's like, what is really going on? What am I supposed to see? Because a lot of people who I deal with in my professional practice, it's always, I'll give them a reading like, so then how do I deal with this energy to get it out? And to me, I always say you have to go to your own beliefs and your own religion. I cannot tell you certain ways to do it that will make sure to happen, and I'll do it and I'll tell them my way. But in my practice, I always do feel like there's something there watching me, and I can sometimes determine who it is, but not always. So my question is, like, how can you really determine on what it is? Like, I was always told it's by a mentor of mine that passed away a couple years ago. She said, it's your gut feeling that tells you it. And then me going on with my practice, I'm just sitting here, that doesn't feel right to me. There has to be something else to that.
I find that part of, for me, it's kind of like, this is how it happened for me. And thank you for the question. For me, I always felt things first. So the first thing that kicked in was my empathy and my clairsentient. I've been clairsentient since birth, right? So that was the first thing that would kick in for me. Like, I can feel something's not right. I can feel something is here. I can feel whatever it may be. The second thing would be that I could start seeing it or the energy around it. Sometimes it would be like static, or there'd be a rip, or there would be a tear, like especially if something horrible had happened in a space, it would be like a tear in the energy of the room. Sometimes it was like I've been to places where it's been a full-on vortex, and they're fun. Sometimes it's been a outline, or sometimes it's been a fully detailed person. And then my final one was when I could start hearing. Now, what I found difficult, and what I still find difficult, is I find difficult to do the two-way conversation, because I still have some stuff around mediumship, because that was the first thing that I could have done when I started this journey, because I was like, can I see dead people? That movie freaked me out so much, by the way. I was like, no! So because I saw them as a kid, I was so scared that I'm still to this day doing healing around mediumship work. I feel like, though, a bit of what your gut feeling, it's like, start to actually like consciously tap into each one of your clairs at a time. So what am I feeling? Now what am I seeing? And not what am I seeing, what am I seeing? Okay, does that actually validate what I'm feeling? Yes or no? Okay, am I hearing anything? And then you can then start asking your guides. Like, don't look at your gut, go up there. So like, okay, is this what I'm getting? Is this right? Okay, wait for the confirmation. And then also you can be like, okay, what do you want? That's my like favorite line. What do you want? Like, what are you here for? Sometimes if it's really nasty, I just tell them to get out. But if it's a reading, then that's a little easier. And then use the tools that you have. Like, especially if you come into a situation where you're reading, actually like take a second, grab another deck, and actually ask the question, what do you want? Separate the reading that you're doing for your client. If you're getting like this bugging little nagging spirit, separate the reading, grab another deck, because many of us have more than one. Take 2 seconds, just say to your client, hey mate, I'm just going to like check in, shuffle. What do you want? And actually allow them to use the channel of your tarot to come in and answer the question too. That's what I would do, because I had to go from being fearful to being more of like the detective, and actually going through like the run sheet of like knowing how to deal with that. So does that help?
Yeah, definitely. I've been doing witchcraft since I was 4, but I started going to psychic mediumship and tarot when I was 7. And when I was learning, the first thing I was taught was tarot is a sacred thing, and then I learned from Angelo Nicias that no, it's really not. It's a deck of cards. And then Barbara Moore also she told me that it's really all your belief. There's hard readers and soft readers and stuff like that. So as I kept on going, I'm like, okay, I can ask spirits this kind of stuff. And the only time I did that was with Dream Virtues Angel Tarot cards. I don't like them professionally because they're too soft for me. But as I'm going with this, it's always like, I don't want to interrupt the reading. So it does help, like, to say, hey.
Yeah, do it. Command the energy, right? You are the leader. And I say this in, like, you are the one holding space. People are coming to you for your help, your brand of help. And I've said it a million times, and I know everyone on here is going to nod with me. Use the tarot however the hell you want. Use it as a soft tool, a hard tool, a sacred tool. It's really how you want to use it and how you view it. So and that's why I say there's no right or wrong way. Take what resonates with you and simply leave the rest, man. Like, there's no, and that's why I love working with the people that I've assembled in my communities, that everyone feels exactly the same way. I'm going to share my perspective. You vibe with it, wicked. If you don't, cool, then just move on. So thank you for asking a really interesting question, because you have absolutely every right to just be like, hold a reading and then do what you need to do to clear out that, like, get a bit more clarity for yourself, for sure. I know other people may want to talk, but what I would love to do now is, because we do have so many amazing teachers on from this school, this Tarot Summer School, and they have taken time off of their evenings today. I want to go through and I want every one of the teachers who are here to basically answer this question for me on behalf of the students. So if there is one thing that you would hope that a student gets out of your course, and please make sure that you say what class you're doing, because not everyone's going to watch this in order. So introduce yourself, the class that you're doing, and if there's one thing that you would like for people to get out of taking your class this year, what would it be? And I will finish. I'll go last, but please take it away with whoever wants. Maybe I'll be the one to. When you go first, I'm gonna keep this train going. So, for those of you who didn't see that, I just got the finger, and that's why I love Arwen so very much.
Yeah, I'm the class clown. So the thing I want people to take away from my class,
which is remember, what course are you doing?
Hi, I'm Arwen Lynch Poe. I'm the professional joy seeker, and I'm teaching Spellcrafting Your Life with the Hero's Journey. I think that's what I titled it. I had a whole bunch of titles, y'all. One of it was tarot and shit. That one didn't go. But it's...
sounded so unnaturally sweet.
I don't know why you think I'm unnaturally sweet, bitch. Anyway... what I want people to take away from my course is the knowledge that we're in charge of our lives, the knowledge that self-responsibility is key to every magical act we do. What we want, we put out there. I have a phrase, if you're witches, you may have heard it, what witches wish, witches get. And that's what I want you to take away from this course, is how to use magic in your life, how to use tarot for co-creating a beautiful, wonderful, joy-filled life. Mm-hmm. I had to put that on, but I didn't say it out loud. I'm boring Avalon.
Thank you very much, Avalon, sweetheart. Come on down.
Oh. I didn't realize I'd be next. Like, are we going alphabetically, are we? Hi, I'm Avalon Cameron, and I'm teaching, working the Witch's Web, which is how to use tarot as a sacred tool of the witch. And I guess the thing that I would like for an individual who's taking my course to get out of is a perpetual source of inspiration. I want you to be inspired by what I offer you, and I would like for you to go out there and just multiply that energy by 1,000,000 and continuously get more and more and more and more, and just really maintain a very grounded, creative mindset as a result of that. And hopefully if you're taking this course and you might have a few apprehensions about witchcraft, that those apprehensions will just fall away and you will understand how to be your own master of the self, which is that's a whole other subject that probably Better Well couldn't teach. Tarot and self-mastery. Thank you.
Benabel, you are up, gorgeous.
I'm Benabel, and I'm teaching tarot, occultism, and modern witchcraft. I think what I want people to get out of the course is to be able to interrogate the tarot and to interrogate the relevance of witchcraft in a society that's rooted in rationalism and science. And then to see that occult uses of the tarot and modern witchcraft can prevail despite the interrogation. So you're going to walk with me through that interrogation to the other side to see how it stands up to rationalism and science.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Chris Ann, come on down, beautiful.
Unmuted, there we go. I hope that my computer doesn't beep. When I spoke last time, my focus was like, my computer was ding, ding, ding. So my name's Chris Ann. I'm teaching a course on divination. And if there's one, I was trying to think like one thing. I mean, I would love for students to be able to find the oracle of everyday life. You know, when we are asking questions of the cards, sometimes we get stuck. And there are so many other little tools that we can use as an overlay or as a secondary tool to help us go deeper, especially if we're trying to read for ourselves. You know, sometimes it's so difficult to read for oneself, and you add that extra layer of magic. And I would love for people to be able to walk outside in nature and get all the answers that they need without the cards. And so that's a big, that would be the big giant end. Of course we love our cards and you're always going to use them, but you know, you don't actually need cards. And I want to share with you why you don't need cards.
Awesome. Thank you. Gina.
I have to unmute. Hello, I'm Gina Thies, and my class is Awesome Audience Building. And the one thing I'm hoping students will take away from the course is that they're going to say yes to fulfilling their dreams or desires of sharing their gifts through the world. And that means they will be able to figure out who needs their awesomeness and how to make them happy to pay them for that awesomeness. So that is the goal of my class, and that's what I'm hoping people will get out of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And beautiful, beautiful Jessie. Not that you're all not beautiful, you're all beautiful, by the way. I have like crushes on all of you, just like.
All hearts. Hi, I am Jessie Huntenberg, and my class is Ancestral Healing, a Tarot Journey. And I really designed this class as a way of trying to help students realize that they do not need to be held hostage by their past. That, you know, no matter what has happened to you, no matter what your legacy is, no matter what your familial relations have been and how that's affected you, that you can face that, confront that, in learning more about that and in exploring that and in actively trying to integrate that you can help yourself heal from some of the traumas that you've experienced, and you can break some of the patterns that have been holding you hostage and has been holding your family hostage, and that you can emerge from this course with an ability to say, like, I get to choose which patterns I continue. I get to choose which patterns I can break. It really puts you in the seat to be the person who breaks those patterns in your family and essentially heals your family that way. So that's what I hope everyone gets.
Yay! Thank you so much. And I'm Ethany, and I'm the doing Psychic Tarot as well as being the headmistress of the Academy. And for me, I really wanted to bust down a few of the I don't do predictive readings stuff that I think a lot of our class a lot of our community tends to shit themselves over, for lack of a better word. What if I'm wrong? Who cares? The weathermen get it wrong all the time. You don't see them getting sued. So I just wanted to like move some of the fear away of actually diving into the world of predictive tarot and diving into working with some of the things that you can't see, like your clairs, because I have, you know, so many of us are so intuitive and so naturally psychic that we don't actually realize the connection between that and how to use that in a more predictive way and how to get more information out of the cards. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping that people are getting out of it. And I hope that what people get out of summer school is that to be able to get access to all of these, and this is not even the whole lineup that's here tonight, but from these amazing mentors and people who are doing the work, you know, like that's what is incredible, and they inspire me all the time. So that's what I want people to get out of it, and a sense of community, right? Like I feel like we should be here to support each other through asking what can be seen as like silly questions, or, you know, finding our way in the dark and bumping into things every now and then and not knowing how to ask things or whatever it may say. So there is never a silly question as far as I'm concerned. You're better off to ask and to experience, you know. So that's what I'm hoping everyone gets out of it. And if there's anyone would like to ask anything in the last, we got another couple of minutes before I'm going to say so long, farewell. If any teachers want to say anything, or any students want to ask, I don't mind.
I'd like to ask something, and it's specifically to you, beautiful lady. How did you come up with this idea for Tarot Summer School, and what prompted you to create Tarot Summer School? What were you looking to offer students, and what were you looking to achieve by bringing so many teachers together? And since this is your third or fourth summer school, have you come close to realizing exactly what you wanted to achieve?
Aw, thanks for the question. I had to cancel. The first year I moved here, I booked to go to the Reader's Studio. By the way, if anyone ever gets a chance to go to Reader's Studio or Northwest Tarot Symposium, first of all, come and say hi to a bitch, because I'd love to see you. And secondly, you'll see like Gina there, and you'll see Arwen there, and you'll see Lyra there, and there's like a whole bunch of us who run around. And Benabel, like, yeah, we're some good fun. So I had to cancel because I got pregnant and I was really sick. I got pregnant and I was not very well, so I had to cancel. And then I couldn't go the year after because Dominic was very young and still needed mum, and I just couldn't be away from him. And I thought, crap, if this is me having to cancel because of family, like having a baby and not being able to get to an event, there must be so many people around the world who just literally, for whatever reasons, just can't get time off, can't get there. Like, you know, you're in Australia, like getting to New York, that's a big bloody deal. Who can't make it to these things. And I was going to do a summer program anyway. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to like find other people to do this and have like a virtual conference so that you can do different things and you get lifetime access and you can go around and do it again. And it was really coming from living in growing up in Australia and being so far away from everything, really. And then B, it was like I got pregnant and I had to cancel out on a bunch of stuff. So I wanted to create an online, non-geographically challenged event. And then I literally just started harassing people. I literally started harassing people like, you want to come do this? And then thankfully it's gotten to the point now where I know enough of you to harass. So yeah, that was the reason why, was because you know, I'm a single mama. I had to look after my baby. That was my number one priority. So, and it's absolutely, after 3 years, it's for sure getting there. I mean, the messages that I get from people saying thank you, and I live in Russia and I live in, you know, backwater Ireland, and I live nowhere near anywhere that does anything like this, you know, like, I think that's something that we may not hear all the time, but for anyone who puts out content, who writes books, who shows, like, I don't know about anyone else, but like Gina's Tarot of the Moors that's coming out this year. Anyone who creates their art and gets out to people and shows representation and shows that we can do this work with integrity and love and connection and community. I think we do a lot more for the community than I think sometimes we get the feedback for. So basically, keep on shining your lights, everyone, because I'm blown away every year, really. Oh, so I'm just coming down with stop.
I agree. I was just about to say I agree with Arwen's statement there. There's a Dumbledore-esque feel to you and your just delicious form of magic.
Oh, I want to be Dumbledore so hard. I'll take that. Oh, thank you. I mean, and like that was the thing, like creating this Hogwartsy. And I have an idea for next year, and I've been working on it, but it does involve getting an actual school bus. So everyone help me manifest that, because I've got some, and it would be free events, and I'm working on it. So there'll be some fun shit happening. So yeah, I know. Yeah, I would. So working on a school bus. If everyone can see like a really cool as fuck, I want to paint it purple. So I want it to be like the yellow school bus. I want to paint it purple, and I'm gonna do some fun shit next year. So yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. I know everyone. Thank you so much from the bottom of my freaking heart to all the teachers who took their time off for their Friday evenings, their Saturday mornings to come and say hello. Thank you. Know that you can ask us questions on the Facebook group. That's what we're here for. Thank you for everyone for showing up and joining us. I hope you all have a beautiful Friday night or a Saturday morning. I really appreciate all of you more than you know, and thanks for making our first month at Tarot Summer School amazing. Bye.